Are you struggling with sales? Is your sales process still the same as it was 10, 20 years ago? In this video, I'll show you how to increase sales with quite little resources. Hi, my name is Christian Wurzelbauer. I support the textile service industry with management training, Neuen Textile Service 4.0, and practical hints that you can implement right away. So this is also a part of my personal story. So we had in my enterprise, we had a laundry operation with 7 plants and 1,000 employees, and we had about, I don't know, 10 people in sales or even more. So it was quite a substantial effort to sell. And we did it the conventional way. And of course, we had already ideas about online marketing and so on, but we actually didn't do it at this point of time. And so I didn't even have a LinkedIn profile myself, or at least I had one, but I didn't maintain it. I was not on Facebook and so on. Yeah, and then I had a financial distress, and this is a different story. And I had to start all over myself after the bankruptcy of the company, and I look for customers myself. So what I did, that I started to call up different companies, and I made appointments and tried to make an offer, and it was quite frustrating because I don't know, only 10 or 5% of the appointments were actually fruitful, and you get some contract. And then I was actually quite against the wall, and I really needed to change my sales process. So I started to take courses and regarding online marketing. I bought 2 courses and I watched, I don't know, maybe 1,000 YouTube videos, not really, but it was a few hundred hours that I invested in qualifying myself with online marketing. So as a result, I'm getting now all my customers online. And this is a much better way because you're only talking to people that are already hot. So in this video, I want to give you some ideas and also some practical hints where you can start right now. But first, customer satisfaction is actually most important. If you have not a good process and a good product, a good service, and if you do not satisfy your customers, then skip this video, turn it off. There are other videos in this channel regarding customer satisfaction. It's the most important thing is that you have a good processes and a good product, and that you have excited customers, and also you need a good strategic positioning. So the best marketing cannot replace the right decisions on which customers you service, which services you provide, which products you sell, and so on. So you need good marketing decisions and also good strategic positioning. And yeah, my experience actually, and what I see also in the industry is that most of the sales processes are still very conventional. So you have a sales rep, and this sales rep calls potential customers on the phone, or he makes visits into the hotel and tries to speak with the manager and so on. So you spend much time on the phone, you spend much time on the road, and the result is actually that in the first 1 year, 2 years of a salesman, he takes on the tedious task and is trying to get new contacts and tries to get new sales, and new addresses and so on. But at the end of the day, he settles down and has a list of 50, 100, 200 different people that he tries to convince of the service, and you actually have just a subset of people that your sales rep speaks to, because it's always so frustrating. It's really frustrating for a salesperson to make cold calls. It's frustrating to visit customers, to spend hours in the car and then just realize that it was the wrong time, the wrong person, whatever. So it's actually a quite frustrating process, and it costs also quite some money. So we spent about 1 to 2% just for sales of revenue, and in many cases when you have small customers, there are many in the industry who spend 5 to 10% in sales. So you have companies in the industry that have a sales force of a few hundred people, and in this case a salesman often gets only, I don't know, 200,000 euros in new contracts a year. So you can then do the math, and then you see that new contracts are quite expensive. So that's actually the conventional sales process. And don't misunderstand me, of course, there is a place for this process still. And most probably many in the industry will need to have a conventional sales process for the long run even. But the point is, on the one hand, you have marketing, on the other hand, you have sales, and actually these are antitheses. So I think Peter Drucker said this, and he made the point that if you have a very good product, if you have satisfied customers, if you price the product well, if you have a good marketing, and online marketing is a part of it, then you actually do not so much sales. And if you have not invested in marketing, then actually you need quite a lot of pressure and sales force in order to get the revenue growing. But it's expensive, and actually it doesn't work so well. So it's not an iPhone, it's an Android, but nobody has sold me a smartphone. I personally was looking for a phone. I was looking for the specs of this phone. It needed to solve a problem of mine, and therefore, if you have a good marketing, if you have a good product, then you do not need so much sales, and then you do not even need so much ads. Yeah. So I think it's important to know the difference. Marketing is actually superior to sales. And one hypothesis, between 3 and 6% of the market are currently searching and ready to make a decision regarding a service provider today. So when you have a potential market of, say, 1,000 potential customers around your plant, then you can assume that at least 30 are ready to sign up tomorrow and are ready to discuss an offer with you tomorrow. The real challenge is that you get the message before them, so that they can see that you have a solution and that you are the best solution for the problem, for their problem. And that's actually the challenge. And the target is that you have only hot appointments. I have a client of mine who fired his salesman a few years ago, and he made the objective to grow with online marketing, and actually we did it together. And he is now quite successful. So he is obviously a closing animal. He closes about 70% of the prospects. And with online marketing, he gets only people who are already really searching for his service and who are ready to decide, and then he closes them. And that's actually the idea of online marketing. Of course, you will not be able to replace all the salesmen, but at least you can make them much more efficient. And in some cases, you can do the sales even yourself as an entrepreneur. And the idea is basically that you have 3 different types of leads. You have cold leads or cold prospects. And these cold prospects just have a problem. They know that they have a problem, or maybe they cannot articulate it, but they have a problem. If they have no problem that you can solve, then it's meaningless, and they are not even prospects. So hopefully they have a problem, but they have no solution. A warm prospect, per definition, is someone who has already a solution, and but he does not have you. He has not decided that you are the best solution for him. And a hot prospect is actually a kind of a friend. So he is the one that knows you as an entrepreneur. He knows the company. He knows your strengths. He knows your weaknesses, and you can talk with him in your language. And in this case, it's much easier to close him. And the reality is that most of the time the salesmen, they only speak to these people. So these are existing customers, these are potential customers that you already know very well. So that's hot. And the point is actually that you need to speak to them in a different language. So you need to speak with cold potential customers, with cold leads. You need to take them on the journey, and you need to speak about the problem and how to solve the problem. And for those who have just a solution, who are warm, you need to speak about why you have the best solution. And of course, with the friends, you need to keep the friendships, and you have to foster these friendships. And these are, of course, the most important ones. But there are 3 different ways to communicate. And online marketing is actually able to communicate with each of these individuals in their language, and that's really the nice thing. So now, very practical. First, please check your website. Is your website really a sales page? Is it formulated in a way that that your customer knows which problem you solve? Is it first for the customer and not for yourself to show up? Is it confusing? Too much information? You shouldn't have too much information. So when you look at really successful sales pages, look at, for instance, at Tesla. Look at Tesla. It's really not easy to see the specs of the car. You see only the car. You can check whether you want to have Model S, Model 3 or whatever, and then you already start with the buying process. So it's a sales page, and it's a very reduced sales page. And very often the websites in industry are so confusing, and they do not really focus on the customer benefit. It's not so sophisticated to do it, but you need to focus on the right things on your website. And then, of course, LinkedIn and Facebook. And first of all, LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn, in most of the cases, of course, you need to check where your clients are. But you can assume that LinkedIn is most probably the most important platform for you. So the big advantage of LinkedIn is that you have, first of all, executives and managers on on LinkedIn. So it's a professional website. And second, you get also organic reach. On Facebook, you have to pay ads in order to speak to your friends. So if you have 10,000 friends or 100,000 friends, 1 million friends, you need to pay Facebook so that you send them a message. With LinkedIn right now, it's still that you get organic reach, which doesn't cost anything. So with Facebook, you need to spend $1,000, $2,000, $10,000 a month for ads. LinkedIn is actually probably enough if you do a good organic outreach and posting and so on. And then sell yourself as an entrepreneur. I think that's one of the most important things if you're an entrepreneur. And this channel is, first of all, to entrepreneurs in the laundry business. Of course, if you are also a plant manager or a sales rep, you have to sell yourself as a person. It's social media. You need to be a human, and if you are a human, and if you present yourself as a human with all your strengths, with your weaknesses, with your interests and so on, and with your successes, with your failures, then you gain trust. And especially if you're an entrepreneur, this is it's a big asset when you start to make a profile for yourself, that you are on LinkedIn, that you are on YouTube and whatever. And this makes a huge difference. So this is a big leverage if you're an entrepreneur. And then tell stories. The nice thing about stories is that you make a bridge. So the problem is that we start to have our own language, and only the hot leads, those people who are our friends, with whom we have already had many conversations, they understand our language. But many people, they do not understand us. So we need to go back and tell stories. And this is actually nothing really sophisticated, because everybody can tell stories, of course. So we need to tell stories on how we had the epiphany, so that we understand where we are right now. So I'm telling a story in this video. I used to have no experience with online marketing. I needed it desperately because I was not able to get clients. And then I started to dig into online marketing, and I found myself a real tool to get clients. And now I'm telling you the story. So this is a story, and you can tell the story also for your enterprise. And so this is important. And the next thing is YouTube or video. So video on LinkedIn, video on Facebook, video on YouTube has a big reach. And of course you can also establish a reputation there. And this also helps you to sell yourself, for instance, as an entrepreneur. And email marketing. So this is a big one. When you have your friends, when you have your subscribers of an email list, then you send them an email, say once a week, twice a week, and you are not salesy, so you provide real value, say for instance with 5 emails, and the 6th email, that's a little bit salesy, yeah? So people want to get the benefit that they are on an email list, otherwise they unsubscribe. So you need to give them a benefit. For instance, that's what I'm doing. I'm sending out email in the industry that are really valuable, and say every 2nd or 3rd week I also send out something that really benefits myself on the bottom line. And this is okay. Yeah, and then supplement this, of course, with traditional methods like direct outreach, telemarketing, direct mail, events, whatever. So especially when it comes to big customers, when you have just a limited number of clients, potential clients in an area, then you need to work on every channel, and you cannot leave customers out because they are not on LinkedIn. So you need also to approach these customers, of course. So I think there is, especially when it comes to big contracts, also in the long term, you have traditional methods to approach these clients, and this is good. The point is, online marketing is just a very big lever. And for instance, if you build your brand, your personal brand on YouTube, on social media, and when you make then a direct outreach, then people look up your website, they look up your LinkedIn profile, and all of a sudden they realize, oh, this is this guy, and he's talking about this and whatever, and then it's much easier to have then the appointment afterwards. So this online marketing helps, of course. And sorry, one thing I forgot is search engine optimization. Of course, you need a very good Google ranking for your services. If you do it right, and there is also a recipe to do it. I've learned it, and I have been ranking with many keywords at least on the first page, and in many cases on the very top. So it's just a little bit of work, but you can do it to optimize your Google search, and I think that's very important. So of course there's a little bit more behind this, and if you're interested and if you're an entrepreneur, then you can click a link in the YouTube description, and we jump on a call and see whether we can have a cooperation or a mutual benefit. And you can also subscribe to my email list down there. And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, and we see us in the next video. Bye bye.